Hello and welcome to the Channels Book Club. In today's episode, the First Lady of Ogun State, Mrs. Olufunsho Amosun, will be formally introducing the first National Green Essay Competition, which is hinged on her first book titled Green Education for the Youth. It is the start of what you might want to call Green Revolution. The competition is the initiative of Uplift Development Foundation with the support of the Channels Book Club. Also, an intriguing young Nigerian called Joshua Awesome joined us to discuss his literary works and his many adventures. Joshua is a prolific writer, author, entrepreneur, and mountain climber. He is the first Nigerian to climb Mount Kilimanjaro and plant the Nigerian flag on top of it. You can't afford to miss that interview. But let's get started with our First Lady after this break. Thank you for joining us on the Channels Book Club, Mrs. Amosun.
Thank you, Mr. Kassim.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
Now, National Green Essay Competition. We're going to talk a lot about that, but let me take you back a little bit. When did this passion for green education start?
I'd say that it's something that has been brewing for years now, because basically it's a necessity. It's a necessity-driven passion. It's actually essential for everybody to take part in sustaining the environment. And from talking to people, I realized that the level of ignorance concerning sustaining the environment and environmental issues is actually high. And this sort of made me realize that there was a need to intervene in a way that I could. And I thought of starting with the children, the youth, thinking that if I got them on board the mission to save the environment, then would be grooming a generation that is environmentally conscious.
I'm curious to know what goes through your mind when you travel across the cities in Nigeria and you look at the environment, putting into consideration this high level of ignorance. What's your paradigm when you look at the environment across our cities in Nigeria? What goes through your mind?
I think the level of waste is so high. I think things shouldn't be like this. When I say the level of waste is so high, apart from the waste that you see along the roadside, I think that, this could have been recycled if only we knew. I think, why isn't there a law in place to ask companies to actually buy back their packaging so that plastic bottles don't litter the street, cardboard boxes don't litter the street, and things like that. And that's what I mean by the level of waste being so high.
It's been about a year since we discussed your book, we reviewed your book. How have people responded to it so far?
I think we've been able to create awareness, which is the initial objective of the book. GEFTI being green education for the youth. We realize that there's a high level of ignorance amongst young people, and I dare say amongst adults as well in Nigeria. But we focused on the youth, and as regards to the feedback on the book, the children that we've actually spoken to seem to understand better the essence and necessity of sustaining the environment. They understand why we ask them to use water wisely, why they should switch off lights and things like that. Things that prior to having the GEFTI education, they took for granted or they were ignorant about. I think they've become more conscious of, and this is the main objective of the GEFTI project.
Okay, the National Green Essay Competition. It's the first of a series, hopefully. Can you please enlighten us? What's the National Green Essay Competition about?
The National Green Essay Competition is an essay competition that is open to all secondary school students in Nigeria. The essence of it is to enlighten or encourage children to read the GEFTI book, which is Green Education for the Youth, for them to actually take on board the basics of going green. all in a bid to sustain the environment. We realize that if there's no incentive, the children might not want to read the book. And this is why we set up the National Essay Competition and told them that there's a prize at the end of the day, being for them to go to Europe. But the essence of the program is actually to get as many children as possible to read and understand and comprehend and imbibe the culture of going green, all in a bid to get them to be on board the mission of sustaining the environment.
Okay, so which age category of children will qualify for the competition, will be eligible for the competition?
We expect that secondary school students are between the age of 11 and 16, so the competition is open to that age group.
Okay. And then the book to read will be GEFTI?
Yes, Green Education for the Youth, a book that I wrote out of my burning desire to see the Nigerian youth actually be conscious of environmental issues. I mean, we all sit and we speak about global warming and climate change, and I think it goes over the top of the heads of the youth. I'm not sure they fully comprehend what it's about or what causes it. So this book sort of like tells them to take responsibility. It tells them the little actions and lifestyle changes that they can partake in to actually contribute to sustaining the environment.
Okay. I like to talk about the incentives a lot, and the kids love the incentives. A trip to Europe,
Yes.
What's it going to be like? I'm sure they're going to be learning about green education and so on. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes. We have other programs under my foundation whereby we take children to trips abroad, but they're always educational programs, and the prize for the National Green Essay Competition will not be any different. Since it's based on green education, they'll be going to an European country whereby they'll teach them the basics appropriate to our various environments or communities in Nigeria on how to recycle, how to reuse items, things that are practical to our everyday lifestyles in Nigeria. And we're expecting that the knowledge that they gain from this trip, they would bring back to Nigeria and share amongst their peers. We'd initiate them as GEFTI ambassadors and expect them to impart the knowledge that they've learnt to fellow friends and peers in the community. So hoping that apart from after the end of the competition, people are still inspired, maybe as an offshoot from the winners, to take on board the lifestyle changes necessary to sustain the environment.
Okay, so I'm sure there are a lot of young people out there who will be very excited about this. Where do they find information about the competition? How do they get started? Share with us a few details that will help those who are keen on participating and parents who want their kids to be part of it.
Okay. Well, we've been opportuned. When I say we, I'm referring to the Uplift Development Foundation. We've been opportuned to have been supported by the Channel's Book Club. And so information about this competition can actually be found at the Channel's TV website. It will tell you the dates of the competition, who's eligible for the competition, where you can find the reading materials for this competition, being the GEFTI book. It will tell you where to find the actual book, or whether you want to read the book online, it would tell you where to find the book to read. One thing that I forgot to mention about the incentive is, at the end of the competition, 13 students will emerge as winners. We'll have semi-finalists because this competition, as we said, is a national one, so it's open to every single state in Nigeria. The semi-finalists will be drawn by the 6 geopolitical zones, 2 each from 6 geopolitical zones, and they would all go on this trip to Europe.
So we're looking forward to seeing the 13 new green ambassadors.
Yes, GEFTI ambassadors.
GEFTI ambassadors. That's fantastic. Okay, so again, the competition starts in July.
1st of July.
1st of July, and they can get all the information on www.channelstv.com.
That's
they can
right.
get all the information they need. This is very exciting because I can't remember any other essay competition in Nigeria focused on green education. Am I correct on that? I can't recall
I seldom put myself in a position where people could stand up and contradict what I've said. But to the best of my knowledge, I am not aware of there having been a green essay competition. It's born out of passion and burning desire and a necessity to get our youths on board sustaining the environment. So whereby it seems like, oh, just any other competition, for me, it's my contribution towards sustaining the environment. I want to see a Nigeria where every single youth on the street understands the essence and basics and bases of going green. And so even if there was any other green essay competition, maybe their motive was different. But for me, this is how I see the National Green Essay Competition. It's the first step in getting all our youth on board the mission to save the environment.
Uplift Development Foundation, your foundation, initiated GEFTI.
Yes.
What other things does the foundation do?
The Uplift Development Foundation is geared totally and only towards poverty alleviation in any which way that it can. Uplift is actually an acronym for understanding people's limiting and inhibiting factors today. The way the Uplift Development Foundation operates is we do a needs assessment. After we understand, through the needs assessment, we understand what is inhibiting people or their limitations, and we try and intervene in any which way that we can. With this in mind, we don't have one particular project that we address. It's any cadre or any group of people in the society. So we have uplifting the women, uplifting the widows, uplifting the unemployed graduates, uplifting the youth through beautification, uplifting the physically challenged, uplifting women living with HIV, uplifting SS3 students, uplifting under 15 football. I have like 20 programs under Uplift. The GEFTI initiative falls under uplifting the environment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Amosun, for joining us on the Channels Book Club. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
If you are between 11 and 16 and in a secondary school, go to www.channelstv.com as from 1st of July 2014 and get all the information you need to participate in the first National Green Essay Competition. Now, please enjoy the interview I had with Joshua Awesome.